Yo, what up? My name's D. Season 3 brought us a new melee weapon called the Gladiator. Now, fun fact, if you check out the in-game stat bars, the Gladiator is actually the exact same as the Karambit. These weapons do share some mechanics, but there are a few differences that affect how they feel, and that's what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to review those important stats like the movement, the damage, the lunge range, and more, and I want you to keep in the back of your mind which melee weapon sounds better as we progress through this video, the Gladiator or the Karambit. You can leave me a comment at the end of this video. Also, please, if you could tap that like button, get subscribed to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Now let's kick things off with movement, because one of the appeals of using the Karambit ever since launch is that it was the fastest moving weapon that is available. Now, based off my testing, the Gladiator will actually move at the same exact speed as the Karambit. So if you want to run as fast as possible for whatever reason, whether it be you're playing Search and Destroy or you're playing Ranked, although the Gladiator isn't available in Ranked, so that doesn't necessarily apply to that, or if you're just a melee enthusiast and want to move fast and outmaneuver people, you now have two options to do that with. However, the melee with the Gladiator is going to feel slightly different than you're used to with the Karambit. That's because the Gladiator has the second longest lunge range in the game. The Karambit has the minimum lunge range of 1.6 meters for a melee weapon, which is fairly short. The Gladiator, however, stretches all the way out to 2.3 meters. So if you start a melee anywhere from 0 to 2.3 meters from your enemy, you will trigger a lunge and get a kill as long as the enemy doesn't shoot you down before your knife connects. And because of this, the melee with the Gladiator just feels more commando lunging, if you guys are familiar with that term from back in the old Call of Duty days. Sponsor time! Into the AM just released their all-day pants, and like most of their products, they are extremely comfy and worth checking out if you're in the market. They're made of this premium feeling fabric, which is extremely soft to the touch like most of their clothes. It's made of this quote-unquote four-way stretch material. I'm not entirely sure what four-way means, but they are stretchy, and most notably in the waist, which is nice, which helps them fit true to size. And then they taper below the knee for a nice little stylish modern look. The thing I like most about these is actually the back pocket has a hidden zipper instead of a button like you'll find with most slacks or work pants that you wear, which is nice because these are designed to be all-day pants. You can wear them to work, you can wear them out on a date, you can wear them out and about with your friends, whatever. They are versatile and they pretty much work with every situation, which is super nice. There's also a hidden zipper in the front right pocket that you can throw your phone in or a credit card or something if you want a bit more security. If you're interested, you can check the link down below. It'll be in the description, in the comments. It will automatically apply the link on the screen right now, which will give you a discount at checkout. And this weekend that I'm uploading this video, they're actually having a graphic tee sale, which, hold on, bam. You can pick something up like that or any of the other millions of graphic tees that I've shared on this channel. I think it's up to 70% off through this weekend only. So thanks to NDM, check them out. All done. So theoretically, with more range, the Gladiator should feel like it gets less whiffs than the Karambit. But while it does have more range, this Gladiator and the Karambit both have a narrow lunge cone. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what cone is for melee, it's essentially the sideways range where aim assist lunge will activate and then you'll get a kill. I'll share more about this in my worst to best melee video coming out soon if you want to learn more, but there's essentially 3 tiers of cones for melee, and the Karambit and Gladiator share the lowest tier, the narrowest cone. Which means if you're meleeing from the side or spinning in circles trying to melee someone, these knives are going to be a little less forgiving and a little bit less consistent than something like the Soul Render, for example. Another difference between these two weapons is the melee speed. The Gladiator will actually melee at a rate of 150 RPM or 150 swings per minute, as I like to call it, which is actually the same exact melee speed as your fist. If you were to use them in zombies or Warzone, you can't necessarily use your fist in multiplayer, but makes sense because the Gladiator is essentially a punch knife. You're essentially just using your fists to start with, so that's kind of a cool Easter egg if you want to think about it like that. Whereas the Karambit has a melee speed of 120 RPM, so the Gladiator will allow you to swipe way faster, it feels more responsive. But the one thing that I don't like about the Gladiator, and the one thing you may have noticed if you use this weapon, is that the Gladiator is worse in the time to kill department. or what I like to call the click to kill for melee weapons. This is the time it takes between the melee animation starting and the death hit marker appearing for your enemy. The Karambit has the fastest TTK at 250 milliseconds, where the Gladiator has a 300 millisecond time to kill. Now, the slowest possible TTK for a melee weapon currently in the game right now is 400 milliseconds, so 300 isn't terribly slow, but it is noticeable. There's been a decent amount of times where I've started a melee with the Gladiator and I've died mid-lunge, which doesn't happen a lot with the Karambit or some of the other melee weapons in this game. Prior to Season 3, I was actually under the belief that TTK was tied to the melee speed in the lunge range, because I was noticing some patterns from my testing, but the Gladiator is completely throwing that theory out of the window, which is interesting, which is how I would describe this melee weapon feels. But before we jump to that, just to recap real quick, both of these melee weapons move very fast, but the Gladiator has more range and swings faster, but it's not as quick to kill as the Karambit is. The Karambit to me feels very quick and responsive, where the Gladiator will feel the same and feels better most of the time because that extra range it has feels great in multiplayer. It feels more responsive with the faster melee speed. It's easier to spam melee to get the lunge to activate when you're in panic situations and spinning in circles trying to kill an enemy. But every once in a while with the Gladiator, I mean, there's been a decent amount of times where I find myself dying mid-lunge, which does not feel great, and that is because of the slower time to kill. I noticed this while I was grinding camos for the Gladiator and leveling it up, and I had a hunch that this weapon was going to have a slow time to kill when I analyzed my tests, and sure enough, it does. And it's not just me that feels this. I was actually playing with a friend last night who said, I don't like the new melee weapon. I feel like I die mid-lunge with it a lot. So take that for what it's worth. I find the Gladiator to be in a weird spot because I've never really been a fan of melee weapons that are slow like this and you die mid-lunge with them. Like, I have PTSD from, I think it was the Sledgehammer from Black Ops Cold War, which was super slow. And I think it had a 450 or 500 millisecond time to kill, and it swung slow if I remember correctly. But anyway, like traditionally, these slow melee weapons are going to have slow swing speeds and a slow time to kill, so naturally they're just slow in general. Where the Gladiator is weird because it has a fast swing speed but a slow time to kill, and on top of that has a nice lunge. So it's a fair trade-off in terms of balance, and it doesn't necessarily render the Karambit irrelevant at this point in time. But at the end of the day, I personally think I will be taking the Gladiator over the Karambit in most situations. But there's clearly better other options that you should be checking out, which if you don't know what those are, I will be reviewing those, and again, the worst to best episode coming out soon. So if you're not subscribed, get subscribed so you don't miss that video. It will be on screen right now for you to watch when it is live. Do not forget to drop a like on this video, please, before you go. Thanks for watching. My name's D, and I'll catch you next time.